Up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now here are your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Big, strong, physical defensive linemen that gobble people up. They've got some fast twitch guys on the edge, two of the best linebackers that we've seen.
It's all about the safety of our student athletes and being very sensitive to, a very catastrophic situation hitting our coast. And they measured everything and they went through everything. I had nothing to do with anything other than game plan.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a very strange, this indeed is a very strange Friday night because we're on location for a college football game. In terms of regular season, this is the first time in my career that I've had a college football game on Friday night. Now, Clemson has played a lot of Friday night football games in its history. In fact, the last time the Tigers lost a regular season Friday night game was here in Boston against Boston College. I think that was in 56, somewhere back in the 50s. But remember, Clemson started out as a military school, and the cadets, they used to have to march on Saturday. And so that meant a lot of Friday regular season football games for Clemson back in the day. And so because of the ACC and ESPN and their television contract, we have a Friday night game tonight here in Boston. Phil Kornbluth here at Alumni Stadium, coming to you about 90 minutes or so away from kickoff. Again, hate to rub it in like last night, beautiful day here in Boston. Clear blue skies, temperatures in the upper 60s, light breeze. It's going to be a little chilly tonight in the 50s, but still very comfortable for football. K-Mac and the Pro and Jarmart and everybody else back in the Palmetto State. I know that everybody has battened down the hatch, and I hope everything's going okay. It seems like Matthew is weakening just a little bit, so maybe things won't be quite as disastrous as projected.
Hopefully not, although people still need to be careful down on the coast as Nikki Haley is having another one of her updates as we speak now, and I'm following along there, and some of the rivers are starting to swell and get concerning. We're going to get a lot of rain. We saw that happen last year. So everybody out there, if you're listening, please continue to be careful, very, very careful. Even a Category 1 hurricane is dangerous. But, Corn, you're lucky. You have nice weather. You're up in Beantown, a Friday night game. And Clemson, I just saw Bryant's warming up out there, so you might get to see him for the first time. And the Tigers should absolutely pummel Boston College. They should just smoke them. It's not even, it's going to be over at halftime, right, Warren? This is not even going to be competitive.
Hey, well, they are favored by 17.5. This Boston College team under Steve Adazio plays very good defense. He's an old offensive line coach, offensive coordinator there at Florida under Urban Meyer. He went to Temple, did some good things there. He's come here. First 2 years, he took them to bowl games. Team took a step back last year and is struggling to kind of get the offense going this year. They have the transfer quarterback from Kentucky in Patrick Tolles, who, he's been average, 50% completion, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He is coming off his best game here at BC, but that was against Buffalo. I mean, I don't know if their defensive stats are misleading or not because of the teams that they have played this year. There are 2 ACC games they lost close to Georgia Tech, and they were blown out by Virginia Tech. So we shall see. I think that, Clemson has got to play with the same energy and excitement level it had against Louisville. I'm sure they'll do the best they can to try and strike quickly against this defense. They have to be concerned with an outstanding defensive end that Boston College has in Harold Landry, a North Carolina kid who leads them with 5.5 sacks coming into this game. BC's got 16 sacks on defense, so they can put some pressure on you at quarterback. So looking forward to it. We'll see if Clemson can run its regular season winning streak to 20 and to stay unblemished. Meantime, the South Carolina-Georgia thing, Ray Tanner is going to join us here in about 10 minutes. So we'll talk with him about the behind-the-scenes processes that went into leading to a 2:36 kickoff on Sunday at Williams-Brice. But we really haven't had a chance to focus on the X's and O's of USC and Georgia guys simply because, A, we didn't know if it was going to be played, and B, primarily our thoughts are on the weather. But now we talk about South Carolina and Georgia in real time because it's going to happen. And so South Carolina, its strength has been its defense. Georgia's strength has really been its running game. Can South Carolina stand up to Chubb and Michelle and the rest of that running attack and control the Bulldogs that way and force the freshman quarterback to beat them?
Yeah, it's bizarre for Georgia. What a week for them. The Hail Mary that beat them, and now the altered schedule, and they're going to come tomorrow, I guess, and I'm not sure where they're going to be put up, probably somewhere on campus. I'm sure USC has found them some accommodations for tomorrow and then the game on Sunday. What kind of mental state will they be in? I think this would probably affect them more than USC because at least USC, they're still at their place. Their routine just got changed a little bit. They didn't have to worry about getting on a bus and staying in a hotel. And the Gamecocks are coming off a loss like the Bulldogs Pro, but certainly not the same kind of loss. All losses are not created equal, just like all wins are not created equal. I know they all count the same, but from a mental standpoint and from a psychological standpoint, certainly they're not all equal.
Still, the schedule was kind of shaky because if you think about it, I'm still trying to delve back in the Stone Age when I was in college, and you gave me a few days off from class, but I'm still on campus. And as they say, a idle mind is a devil's workshop. It'll be interesting to see, and I know they're still probably held under the standards of the NCAA about how much time the coaches could have them out there on the field for regular season practice. But, Corn, I got to think that some of those kids were in their dorms going over the film and video themselves and maybe doing some extra mental work for Georgia just because they had that idle time with no class. Obviously, they had the tutors and stuff and going over classwork and trying to catch up. But still, I would think if they use that time wisely, they've used some mental, or as they say, skull sessions against Georgia.
Yeah, I would think so, too. It's just going to be, let's face it, it's going to be a weird setting. Sunday afternoon, you're just not used to playing regular season college football on a Sunday afternoon in Columbia up against the NFL, up against what other weather conditions there are or any sort of return to normalcy that we're going to have in the state of South Carolina, hopefully by Sunday afternoon. How many Georgia fans are going to make the ride over to Columbia? How many Gamecock fans are going to be able to show up? What's the stadium setting going to be like? But then back to the football side of it, I don't guess we know for sure yet. Are we certain that Perry Orth is going to start at quarterback?
No, we're not certain that Perry Orth is going to start at quarterback. We're certain that he's going to play. We're not certain that he's going to start. I think that would be a pretty good guess if you had to guess between Orth or McElwain.
Perry McElwain.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from Will Muschamp, which is par for the course. He didn't say anything before any of these games that there was a question. Before the Vanderbilt game, before the Mississippi State game, he didn't say anything. He just kind of does it. I think we'll find out about 2:31 Sunday who's starting.
All right, maybe Ray Tanner will share that with us.
I'm sure
we'll have Ray Tanner here coming up after the break. Yeah. And we'll get back to more on Clemson and Boston College. Looking forward to seeing if, Deshaun Watson could come out and be protective of the football better than he was last week against Louisville, but also not only protective, but also show the quick striking ability that the Tigers showed against Louisville. This is the kind of game where they like to put people away in a hurry. We'll see if they're able to do that tonight. Also coming up on the program, Brent Thompson, Citadel coach. He'll be with us in hour number 2. They're staying up in Travelers Rest after winning at North Greenville last night. They're not going back down to the coast yet. They're staying in Travelers Rest. So he'll join us to talk about getting his team off to a 5-0 start. We'll have some recruiting notes for you as well and more as we continue from Boston and Columbia here on Sports Talk in a moment. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut up in Boston for the Clemson-BC game tonight. K-Mac and the Pro back in our studios in Columbia. And let's welcome in USC AD Ray Tanner to Sports Talk. We really appreciate the time because it's been a nonstop week, I'm sure, of conversations and phone calls and planning, and we thank you for taking some time out to be with us. And I know you're glad to get this thing in terms of a plan in place with a game 2:36 on Sunday. You know, you went thing with the flood last year and had to move to LSU. What were the similarities this year with this compared to what you went through last year?
Well, unfortunately, there was a little bit of experience in play because we had a situation to deal with last year. But the weather event, and certainly we're still monitoring it and focusing on what's going on as Hurricane Matthew approaches our coast, and still some time left in this thing. But we felt that we would have an opportunity to possibly play the game in Columbia at some point when the week started out, and hopefully that will still be the case. Last year, we really didn't think we had an opportunity to play the game based on the circumstances with our local flooding and the issues surrounding what we were dealing with. So it had some similarities, but this gave us an opportunity to potentially play. And the weather does look very encouraging for Sunday. And so we're hoping that the damage caused by this weather event is minimized on the coast. Just still to be determined.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the fact that you had to move a game last year, and it seemed like, apparently Georgia offered Sanford Stadium if you wanted to move the game there. And, of course, there was some reports out of Atlanta that the Georgia Dome was going to host the game and all that kind of stuff. But considering that you gave up a game last year, were you, in your mind, if at all possible, were you pretty adamant on making sure that if this game was going to be played, it was going to be played in Columbia?
Well, the reports about the Georgia Dome were completely erroneous. We never had any of those discussions whatsoever. We were going to do our best to play, but I'll tell you this, that it's important that you do try to play the game. Is it more important than the safety of people? No, it isn't. But that being said, if you can play the game at another time, another date, or change it a day, the spirit of trying to play the game is important in the Southeastern Conference. So that's where we were, and we were hoping that, when the week started out, that we could see a scenario where if we can't play it on the day that's scheduled, can we play it the next day? Could we play it Monday? Where are the opportunities? Can you play it late in the season? So we spent a lot of time during the week looking at a lot of different scenarios and trying to make a decision that was best for everyone concerned.
Why did it come out at 7:50 last night, more or less, when Coach Muschamp got the word and mentioned it on his show? Because, as you know, people were waiting and waiting. They were waiting on a decision, and they kept wondering, why is South Carolina and Georgia, why haven't they reached some sort of decision? What held you guys up until you finally reached that conclusion last night?
We talked, we started meeting on Tuesday and started monitoring the track of the storm and looking at different scenarios and situations. So we're obviously concerned about the safety of our state, but the person, as far as emergency personnel, would you be able to staff the game, and so many things that were important and would come into play. But we also wanted to wait as long as possible to try to get a really good handle on what might be happening the next 48, 72 hours, if it should be the case. I know firsthand that there were a lot of people frustrated and not happy that they hadn't received any information or definite, but we were really trying to wait as long as we possibly could. But during the whole time, we were talking to Georgia officials and the Southeastern Conference Commissioner Sankey and trying to come up with a solution that would be the right one and would be appropriate for all the issues that go into putting on a football game.
Ray, what kind of crowd are you expecting on Sunday because of this change? And what changes, if any, can fans attending the game expect to see?
I don't really know. I was talking to Lance Grantham this afternoon about what he would anticipate. I would hope that, we would be, close to 80,000. We'll see. The weather forecast is very encouraging, but it is a change. It is a change, and sometimes, people are not able to keep the itineraries that they had set on before. So we'll just have to see. I can't recall. Maybe you guys know whether we ever played a game on Sunday. I think that's unique in itself. It's a 2:36 kick. We're hopeful that the situation along the coast is not devastating, and we have a good day to play football.
Ray, with all the aspects of a decision like this, how much did accommodations of people who had to evacuate and had hotel rooms in Columbia versus making sure that Georgia's football team had proper accommodations, did that ever enter into the discussion?
It was part of the discussion, but it's not paramount in the discussion. Whether you're talking about a football team, it was important, as we talked about the developments through the week and changing the game time. And as far as the day, we felt like was, important for the evacuees. It freed up a lot of hotel space. And now the kick time on Sunday actually provides people an opportunity to maybe not have a hotel. They can come and go possibly in the same day. But I actually heard today that there was some availability at different properties around Columbia. So I think where we ended up did help a lot of situations with evacuees. And I've been in touch with different properties around the city and even in Charlotte. And I think we're in a pretty good place.
Where is Georgia going to stay? I'd seen some conversation from their athletic director that there was a place on campus. I think maybe that Assistant Attorney General's location there on campus that they might use in some form or fashion. Did y'all settle on that or somewhere else?
Well, they've been accommodated, and it was left up to Georgia. We actually, tried to assist in some of their plans, and we were able to be helpful. But they've been accommodated, and they'll come up late tomorrow afternoon.
come up late tomorrow afternoon. Okay, that's right, Saturday. Okay. So where are they staying so Gamecock fans can know where to go to harass them and honk the horns and stuff like that?
Well, as I said, they have a very nice property, and they'll be coming in late tomorrow afternoon.
Ray, with the game taking place on Sunday, are there any plans to do something in terms of hurricane relief efforts, or ask the fans to do anything, bring anything, or is that still in the works?
K-Mac, it's interesting. In the last hour or so, Charles Bloom and I are here in the office, and we are talking about some different circumstances. We're not exactly sure what might be appropriate, if it may be a little bit early, or if we need to try to do something during the game. But it is a conversation that's ongoing, and there's a possibility that there could be something at the game or later on in the week.
All right. Well, I'm glad it's behind us. Hopefully the weather's going to be just fine, and you can focus on football. And, hey, how about your women's soccer team?
Fantastic. I got home late last night, and I was tracking, their win at Mississippi State, and I was able to send out Coach Smith a text that the beat goes on. So they're having a fantastic run. We're excited for them, and they're back in town on Sunday afternoon as well.
Yeah. So you're thinking other athletic events now that are scheduled Sunday moving forward, everything should be back on schedule?
We think so. I mean, we're just again, we continue to monitor the situation, but the weather seems to be encouraging, maybe for Columbia for late Saturday night or mid-evening on Saturday, and then Sunday looks to be a beautiful day where we do have a number of events that will take place on Sunday as well as playing football.
All right, Coach, we thank you as always. Good job with you and your staff holding this thing together and getting through it. We really appreciate your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Ray Tanner from USC with us here on Sports Talk. Back in a moment. Hey, I'm tweeting out the little comment he made about Georgia finding accommodations. All right, hang on. Okay. We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Friday night from Boston as well as from Columbia. Well, only one way to follow up having Ray Tanner on the program, and that is to welcome in two of the greatest governors in the history of the state of South Carolina, two men who have known their share of dealing with hurricanes and the like in South Carolina, Jim Hodges and David. To both of you, and first of all, before we get into your picks, I know you want to talk about Hurricane Matthew and how the state is dealing with everything. Governor Hodges, your thoughts on what's going on?
Hey, Phil. We're, I think, doing really well. It sounds like we've got most of the people out of harm's way, which is what's most important. And just bracing to see what will happen with the storm. It's certainly a difficult time for everyone along the coast, and our thoughts and our prayers go out to all of them.
Yeah, Governor Beasley?
Well, same thing. I mean, Jim and I had to evacuate the coast on several occasions with several hurricanes, and it's never easy. It's not a comforting thing to do, but, you want to protect the people first and err on the side of caution. And things like Governor Haley's team is really on top of things. And, all the governors really take that serious. And it's good to see people coming together in this tough time. The next 24 hours are going to be really, really critical along the coastline with the surge that we're looking at from Hilton Head all the way up to Myrtle Beach. And Charleston, of course, is right in the prime spot. So we'll see. There'll be a lot of prayer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, Governor Hodges, you stormed back last week, no pun intended. 4-1 with your picks. Very good week. You went 17-8. Governor Beasley, 3-2. So you're above 500. You're 13-12.
Well, now,
hanging in there.
Did Jim give his games after Saturday?
No. I did. I missed the show by an hour, so I was able to get him in.
He did. We're not pulling the rug out from under you here. He got him in before Saturday, and they were duly noted. So he's legit. 4-1.
I wish we'd go with y'all picks. I think you guys were 2 and 3.
Actually, I was 4-1 last week. I had my best week yet, so I was on fire like Governor H was. All right, let's get to it here. We've got 5 more tough games for you to pick against the spread. Governor Beasley, we'll let you lead off since you are trailing. And we'll begin with the big game in the SEC, Tennessee at Texas A&M. A&M is favored by 6.5. Tennessee's been living a charmed life, to say the least. What do you think, Governor Beasley?
I think the Tennessee Vols luck's going to run out this weekend. They need more than 6.5 points, and I think the Texas A&M defense could be too tough. So Texas A&M.
The Aggies, Governor Hodges.
Texas A&M reminds me of that, or Tennessee reminds me of that great Georgia team years ago when Lindsey Scott made that incredible play. I think Tennessee is going to keep it going here. At least they're going to keep it within a field goal. So I'm going to take Tennessee.
All right, you want the Vols, yeah, or what was it? Was Auburn that had all the great luck a couple of years ago when they beat Georgia and they beat Alabama when they went to the national championship game. Tennessee kind of reminds you of that. How about in the ACC? We've got Virginia Tech against North Carolina. Tar Heels riding pretty high, going down to Florida State, winning on a field goal. They're favored by 1.5. Now, it is the middle of October, so I'm not sure anybody in Chapel Hill knows there's a football game. I think there's a basketball pickup scrimmage taking place on Saturday, but maybe not a football game. So we'll see if the football team is more focused than their fans. Tar Heels are laying 1.5, Governor Beasley.
That's going to be a pretty doggone good game. And Tar Heels on a little roll. They got some momentum. And, I think that home field advantage with 1.5, I think Tech needs more than 1.5. So I'm going with Tar Heels.
You want the Heels. Okay. Governor Hodges.
I'm with him. Yeah, the one thing we know about North Carolina is they can score some darn points. So I'm going to take UNC.
UNC, their quarterback's pretty hot right now. I'll give you that.
He's good.
All right, right now it's still on. Believe it or not, Florida State at Miami. is still on as we speak. I don't know how they're playing this game, but they're playing it as of now. And Miami is laying 3, and the Hurricanes, certainly living up to the weather conditions out there with the hurricane off the coast, and apparently going to head back to Florida once it's finished around these parts. So, Governor Beasley, what do you think? Miami laying 3 against Florida State.
Well, the odds are that if I keep picking Florida State enough, eventually the odds I'll win. So I'm going with them one more time. I think they actually will put it together, and that's to be the first real test for Miami and the other way you coach. So I'll go with Florida State. Even it's a tough one. It is.
Yeah. I think you'd have to say Florida State's probably been the greatest disappointment of your national power team so far this season, the way they've played. What do you think, Governor Hodges? Miami laying 3 or the Seminoles getting 3?
Let me tell you, if I had Florida State on the schedule, I'd want to play them too, regardless of whether you had snow or a hurricane or whatever. They're bad. I'm going to take Miami.
You want Miami? Okay,
yes,
you got them. All right, to tonight's game here in Boston, where the home team is getting 17 against Clemson. BC's got a good defense apparently, but they struggle to score. Clemson's good on defense, and they have little trouble scoring. And the Tigers are 17-point favorites. Governor Beasley, what do you think?
Hello.
Do we have Governor Beasley?
Yeah. Can
okay.
you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Governor Beasley. Clemson, BC, and BC getting 17.
Oh, my gosh. I tell you what, that's a tough one there. Whew. I'm going to go with Clemson. It probably gets my better judges. 17 points up in Boston. Oh, my gosh. The British are coming. And Clemson's coming. And can we get in there and do it by 17? I'm going to roll the dice, say yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting to enjoy some of the old historical parts of this area. I saw the sign that said Lexington, Massachusetts, of course, where a lot of history has been made. I'm staying on a highway, Concord Highway, so I feel like I'm reliving American history up here. Governor Hodges, what do you think?
Well, to use David's example, I think that the British probably will have a hangover in this game after the battle. But I'm going to take actually Boston College because I think Clemson's going to have a little bit of a letdown. They're going to win, but 17 points is a lot, and Boston College has this circled off in the calendar. So I believe that Clemson will win, but I'll take 17 points.
Okay, you got it. And finally, Georgia, USC, Sunday afternoon. That's weird to say. The Gamecocks getting 7 at home. Governor Beasley.
I tell you, 7 points isn't enough. I think Georgia's going to wear them down, and I think by the end of the game they're going to pull ahead more than 7. So I'm going to pick the Bulldogs. If there were 10 points, I'd probably go with the Gamecocks, but 7, not enough. So I'm going with Georgia.
Okay, you know what they said back in the day? Georgia loves David Beasley. And you showing some love back. Governor Hodges, what do you think?
I've looked everywhere for that commercial, by the way. I cannot find it anywhere. I've looked all over the internet for it.
Well, I'm gonna take Georgia too. I'm with on this. I think after the way they've lost,
you know, Jim loves Georgia. I mean, it beat the hell out of me.
I'm going to go with David Beasley and with my friend Bubba, and I'm going to take Georgia.
All right. Great way to wrap it up. Governor Beasley, are you over in Darlington, or did you move more towards the west?
No, I've been all over Darlington. We're getting tractors ready and getting the chainsaws ready, the generators ready. So we've hunkered down and looking for hopefully going to be a peaceful weekend, but in spite of everything. But who knows? You know, this is a dangerous storm. Yeah. It really is. And if it wiggles as the Weather Channel's commentary has been saying, but who knows? Let's keep in our prayers.
All right. Best of luck to everybody. Thank you, guys. Be right back. That was good.
Yeah, That was one of my favorite commercials. Did you probably never saw it, but yeah, there was a guy when they were running against each other. That was before they had the lock.
Need some insight for this weekend's games? Our sterling picks are on the way. This is Sports Talk.
All right, time to welcome in the professional when it comes to picking these games with our Sterling picks tonight from ParamountSports.com. Lee Sterling, first of all, how you holding up down there in not so sunny South Florida?
Everything's good. We only had like 30 to 40 mile an hour winds down in Miami, but looks like people from Daytona up to the Savannah area are going to take a pretty big hit. So, saying a little prayer for them. I had my own problems last night. So, what happened is I finished my work and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to eat dinner. I'm going to watch the NFL game between Arizona and San Francisco and the two college games, and come home and I step into the man cave, and what's there? My daughter, who cheers for Miami, she invited 7 cheerleaders plus my other daughter. 9 girls watching a movie, eating popcorn with my dog. So I was relegated to the bedroom last night.
That never. That's a battle you're not going to win.
No.
Are you saying those are all Miami cheerleaders, and you call that a problem? Your daughter excluded, of course.
I wanted to watch games in my man cave.
Yeah.
So I usually can win when there's 2, 3, or 4 of them in there, and I shoo them out and shoo them into the playroom or somewhere else. But I was outnumbered.
So everything's okay then for Miami, Florida State. The weather is not going to be a problem. That's why they kept that game on.
It's going to be. It's perfect. And actually, right after that, they play the NFL game. They play Saturday night against Florida State, and then Sunday at 1, they turn around and play the Dolphins in Tennessee. So the only people I feel sorry for are the people that got to paint the field.
Yeah, really long day for them. All right, ParamountSports.com last week, 1-1-1 for you. Tell folks how they can get your information over the weekend.
Well, we had a great promotion. I thought it was real successful, and people were really into it. It was our 7 for 77 a couple weeks ago. 7 college games. We went 6-1 on them. So we've now had 3 straight college weekends where we've been very productive and won in college football. So we're going to roll it out again. 7 games, but not 77. I'm in a great mood. I'm feeling Miami's going to finally break the jinx with Florida State and break through and win. So I'm going to lower it to $47. That's right. You heard me correct. $47 for 7 college plays. All they need to do is go to ParamountSports.com, use coupon code SAVE30, $47 for 7 college, hopefully winners.
Very nice. All right, let's begin with the games that you want to talk about tonight. Texas A&M laying 7 against Tennessee.
I sit there on Sunday nights before these lines come out about 8 Eastern, and from 7 to 8, I estimate what the lines are. I'm usually within a point, and A&M came out. I had it as -1 to 2 as a 7-point favorite. Now, I think Tennessee may not be in a great spot here, but I'm not going to go against a team that is coming off 2 big wins to Florida and Georgia. I think they got it going here. They're on a roll. And A&M has not faced a dual-threat quarterback this year like Josh Dobbs. A&M has not won a big game when they've been undefeated 5-0 or 6-0 since probably going back to Paul Bear Bryant. I'm going to say the wrong team's favorite. I have Tennessee upsetting A&M 34-33.
Wow. And Tennessee continues to stay undefeated.
Without Hurd. They don't need him.
Without Hurd, yeah. All right, we're here in Boston. Clemson, you're playing with 16 points here. Clemson laying 16 against Boston College.
Yeah, and an epic win last week for Clemson. We were on them against Louisville. They held up even with the turnovers, but now they got to play a Boston College team that held them last year, surprisingly, to 112 rushing yards in that 34-17 Clemson win. Short week. Watson not 100% with that ankle. He's going to play, but I think they're just looking to get out of here with a win. I have Clemson winning 28-17, but Boston College covering.
Yeah, they've made it tough for Clemson up here in the past, though Clemson's won 5 in a row against them. And on Sunday now, Georgia favored by 7 against USC.
Both teams a little bit of a disappointment, 2-3 against the spread, and Georgia pass game still not consistent. Easton was also sacked 10 times the last 3 weeks. Georgia's D allowing 30 points per game. The Clemson defense, I mean, they give up a lot of yards. I'm watching. I went back a couple weeks. I went all the way back even to the Mississippi State game. They bend, but they don't break. And I think in big rivalry games, that's important. I don't know where Georgia is also after the loss last week. And South Carolina just need to get a little bit of that running game going here with A.J. Turner. They get it going. They got a shot. I'm going to take the points. Georgia wins 24-20, but the Gamecocks cover. Three underdogs here.
All right, very good. And your game of the week is Alabama favored by 14 against Arkansas.
Doesn't get much better than this. So we're going to find out if Alabama can keep rolling or if Arkansas, which has played Bama tough the last couple of years, whether they can give them fits. So first 5 callers get Alabama and Arkansas on me, 800-400-9600. 9741. And like I said, if you want to get the Super 7, it's not $77. Cut all the way down to $47. Use coupon code SAVE30, ParamountSports.com, or 800-400-9741.
Okay, Lee. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. See you guys.
Thank you, Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com for Lee. Hey, score big with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders has convenient office locations at USC and Clemson, ATMs at Clemson and Converse, Limestone and Presbyterian, USC and USC Lancaster, Winthrop and York Tech. Visit foundersfcu.com for a full listing to find an ATM or an office near you. If you're not a member, visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Let me give you some recruiting here before we hit the top of the hour. Linebacker Justin Foster from Shelby, North Carolina, delaying his commitment announcement until Monday night. His game tonight's been postponed, and it will be played on Monday night. At halftime, he'll make his announcement, Clemson, Tennessee, or Georgia. USC target, defensive lineman Romello Martin of Brooklyn, will not make any official visits until after his season. USC definitely will get one of those visits. The others on his short list are Florida, Tennessee, Miami, Ole Miss, and Rutgers. He went to USC in Florida this summer. He's been in touch with USC recruiter Lance Thompson about setting up that official visit. And he said his top 6 is not in any order right now. And he has seen USC on television this season, sees a defensive front where he thinks he can step right in and, if not play right away, pick it up right away. So far this year in 5 games, make that 4 games, he's got 17 tackles, and he's looking for his first sack. Wake Forest offered 2018 defensive back Israel Mukamu of Berkeley. Guard Clyde Trapp Jr. of Lower Richland, this is in basketball, did not make his official visit to Georgia last weekend as he had scheduled. Not sure about his future plans at this point. Back to football, wide receiver Jordan Adams of Blythewood was offered Thursday by Tulane. And Indiana offered athlete Tansy Richardson of South Aiken on Thursday. And one more basketball note. Talking with Devontae Schuler of Irmo Oak Hill Prep in Virginia, not taking, and I'm not 100% sure if we were on the same page here. I asked him about his Miami trip, which I thought was this weekend, but it's actually next weekend, and he said no, he's not taking that trip. He's actually scheduled for Ole Miss this weekend, so I'm not 100% sure if he was talking about not going this weekend to Ole Miss or going next weekend to Miami. But we'll find out on that for you for sure and clarify in the future. All right, that will do it for us here from Boston. Going to turn things over to the guys in Columbia. Brent Thompson, the Citadel football coach, coming up in the next hour. David Shelton on high schools. Monty Dutton, the full Monty as well. I'll check back in from upstairs in the second hour, too. Be right back with more Sports Talk.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are about 30 kickoff in Boston, Clemson, BC, and Kornbluth getting in position there, moving upstairs into the press box. We'll try to check in with him before we sign off as the third-ranked Tigers try to handle their business against Boston College in Beantown. We'll continue with other things momentarily, but want to head back out to the guest line now and welcome in Citadel coach Brent Thompson. The Bulldogs went up to North Greenville last night and picked up an impressive win. And, boy, impressive on a lot of levels. Anytime you go on the road and win a game in college football or any level of football, that's a feat. But to do it the way you guys did, quick turnaround, 48 hours, you guys had to shift. You had the hurricane bearing down on Charleston, and you go up there and you get a pretty convincing victory, Coach.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging for us. We had about, I would say, probably about an hour and a half of a full practice to be able to get ready for that. We had a couple of walkthroughs the day of the game, and then of course Wednesday we were trying to get out of town, so it took us about 9 hours to get up there. So it was very challenging for our guys to be able to get up and get ready. And, it kind of showed through the first half a little bit. I thought our fundamentals were off just a little bit. We kind of settled down and got back into the groove of everything in the second half. But really, it's been as good as it could possibly be given the circumstances. We had a great fan base there. We've had great support from a lot of the different colleges. We ate at PC, and we were able to get over to Furman today and work out, and we ate at North Greenville for a pregame meal. So all these schools have been really accommodating, and it's been the best of the worst case scenario here.
When you guys left, I guess everybody was leaving Charleston at that time. You said it took 9 hours to get up there.
Yeah, we left at about 11:45, and we finally got in somewhere around 19, and we stopped for about an hour at Presbyterian College, and we ate dinner on their campus. And other than that, we were in the bus about the whole time. 26 was pretty jammed up.
Oh.
Took some back roads and found a way up into Travelers Rest, and we're staying at a great little place up here. It's a little church retreat place. It's been extremely accommodating given the circumstances. So we're making the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is kind of a team building exercise, if you will, making the best of a situation. How, I mean, you guys are getting knowing each other pretty well at this stage in the game, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got some close quarters here, but the kids are doing great. Last night helped us out a lot. A win always helps us out, and they've reacted really well. And now we're just really focusing all of our attention on Chattanooga.
Yeah, when are you guys going to be able to get back home, or do you even know?
We don't know yet. We're going to probably play the storm out tomorrow and see how the storm passes out of here, and then we'll call back to the Citadel and find out what's the scenario, when we're going to open, when can we get back on campus, and the sooner that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy, I think would be the better for us.
Well, as far as getting ready for a tough Chattanooga team that's been tremendous the last few years, the extra days, even though you had to rush and move up the football game, other than maybe the inconveniences of the hurricane, does these extra days of preparation, do you think in the long run are going to help you against the Mocs?
Yeah, I think that was probably the whole benefit side of playing this game still, of coming up here, keeping the team together, getting ready for a good Chattanooga team. We spent today kind of just doing some walkthrough stuff and preparing, and then tomorrow we'll spend a little bit more time. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to practice our guys a long time because we can. So I want to do it in spurts. I want to gradually work our way through the game plan until we get back home.
Talking with Citadel coach Brent Thompson, the Bulldogs 4-0 and rolling right along now. And I mean, like you said, a normal schedule. Are you guys able to do anything where you are now in terms of football, watch film, or any kind of sense of normalcy that you can do where you are?
Yeah, today we try to keep it as a typical Sunday practice for our players. We got up, we had some breakfast, we were able to watch the game film from last night, made our corrections there, then Furman let us use their weight room, so we got a good workout for about an hour in the weight room, and then we went over to practice field. They let us use one of their lacrosse fields. We got about 45 minutes of running and first installation of the Chattanooga game plan. So today's been as fairly close to normal as possible. Tomorrow we won't do too much. We'll probably just run some meetings and some walkthroughs and watch some of the games that are going down and kind of let the kids get real good time for themselves.
Are you guys playing at a level that you are happy with right now? I know coaches are never satisfied, but in terms of the different pieces, I know you guys have had to rotate some different guys at quarterback, and now you've kind of settled in with your starters. But where are you right now in terms of where you want to be?
I think we've progressively gotten better now. Last night wasn't a great indication of us getting too much better because we played a great ball game. Our defense played a fabulous ball game against Western. Offense played fairly well at Western as well. So, given the circumstances, I thought we played about as good as we could possibly play. We made a few mistakes. Our fundamentals took a little bit of toll in not being able to practice for just about an hour and a half on the whole week. So, I'm really happy with where we are. We're settled on our starters on both sides of the ball. We're fairly healthy. We'll get a couple more extra days here to rest and relax before we get back at Chattanooga at the end of the week.
Well, it's interesting, your guys, as far as the preparations for Chattanooga and as far as your health is concerned, because let's face it, after you get Chattanooga, one of your rivals here in the Southern Conference in state that's had your number until I think you guys exercised some demons last year is the Wofford Terriers. So nobody's peeking ahead, are they?
No, certainly not. Not with, we've got a tough stretch coming up. We've got Sanford and we've got Wofford and we've got Chattanooga. So we've got some very good football teams on our schedule. We just take them 1 week at a time, one game at a time. Just as we have, we fought to get through a lot of these games here in the early part of our continue to fight each week.
Coach, we appreciate it. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now. Safe travels, and here's hoping, like everybody else, that when you guys do return to Charleston, it's just the way you left it.
Thanks. Yeah, me too. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Coach Brent Thompson, the Bulldogs, picking up a win, an impressive win given the circumstances. And boy, the Presbyterian campus opened up to them, Furman. It's great to see that, how the state comes together. It's one of the only bright spots when you see these horrific events that happen, whether it's natural disasters or just tragedies like what happened in Charleston with the Emmanuel 9, the way people come together and take care of each other in this state and everywhere. And that's what happened with the Citadel. They're still trying to get back home. And Chattanooga is a pretty darn good football team that they'll be facing.
Tremendous football team. Now, the interesting thing is obviously don't know whether their minds were on what happened in Charleston, but of course they quickly fell behind in North Greenville 7-0. And then I think the alarm went off that say, look, for these last a few hours, we're going to play a football game. And I think they really got their concentration level built up after falling behind and took control pretty much by the second quarter of that football game last night.
All right, we're coming up on a break. I want to give our picks. We've also got David Shelton coming up. We're going to talk some high school football. There are a smattering of high school football games around the upstate today. I think 13, a baker's dozen. We have a baker's dozen. And we're going to have on its regularly scheduled time, the high school sports reports, the little 5-minute shows that we do, the updates throughout the 10 o'clock hour all the way to 11. We'll have our Saturday morning recap as well. So we're going to have every single score. I can promise you that. We'll have a recap from Clemson tonight. So on many of these great affiliates that you're hearing us right now, you can look forward to that. I know not many people are out and about tonight. Hunker down, I think, was what the governor said to do, and that's hopefully what you're doing, listening to us. We're talking you through the storm, and we'll keep you updated on the sports that do happen tonight. So keep it on wherever you're hearing us now. Go to sportstalksc.com, and we'll have those scores for you. We'll keep you in the loop. And if you want to follow Corn on Twitter at SportsTalkSC from the game, I know some people, maybe your dish isn't working wherever you are in the state, but you have your phone charged up. You're still getting wireless service. You can follow us on Twitter at SportsTalkSC as that game now just about 15 minutes away from kicking off in Boston. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, live tonight from Columbia, where the weather is holding for now, and also Boston, where Corn has set up shop, and we'll check in with him again as Clemson and Boston College now just about 10 minutes away. David Shelton joining us on the line now, talk some high school football with him. I hope you're well. I know you're down in the low country, David, unless you moved towards the Midlands, or did you hunker down?
No, I hunkered down. I'm a stubborn old man, and you know, I have a lot of family members very upset with me right now. but I'm going to be fine. I'm in a safe house, and you know, my area, my street gets a little flooded. Last year during the flood of a million years or whatever, it was pretty difficult for about 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to lose power because I lose power during thunderstorms. So got some candles. I'm just kind of hoping I make power until at least midnight so I can watch the Clemson game and watch the baseball, and then I can sleep through the gist of the storm. So, you know, we'll be okay. I'll be okay. It is kind of scary and it is kind of serious. I mean, I've seen some things on Twitter that make me kind of wonder what people think in times like this. But, you know, I lived through Hugo, and Hugo, I think, was a little worse than this, or probably a lot worse than this, to be honest with you. So, you know, we'll manage.
Well, stay safe. This Sports Talk High School Football Report, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance with new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau Insurance. You could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. And as we know, David, no football games anywhere near where you are in the Low Country, Grand Strand, the Midlands. We just have about a baker's dozen when it comes to football games tonight. Any intriguing matchups, though, that we need to keep our eye on?
Actually, the games, the best games were played last night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a schedule of, I think there's 13 or 14 games. And I did kind of glance at them, and nothing really, you know, I guess easily West Side could be a pretty big game. But, you know, last night Dorman and Gaffney played and just had a shootout, over 1,100 or 1,200 yards, I read. And Dorman won that game, and Boiling Springs beat Burns for the first time since probably before any of the Burns players were actually born. I mean, any of the Boiling Springs players. I think it was 1998 or so. So big win for Boiling Springs, keeps them in the hunt for that region title. You know, now that everything's been pushed back, you know, which is the fair thing to do, it'll give some people a week off, which is fine, or actually it'll give them 2 weeks off now, the ones that are playing this week. At the end of the season, they'll have a good little break. Mm-hmm. But this was the fair thing to do. And you know, I don't criticize anybody for playing last night. I don't criticize anybody playing tonight. They're pretty safe. Weather is going to be fine. But like you said, from where you're sitting to where I'm sitting, no way you could play football tonight.
Yeah, and for better or for worse, I mean, last year the high school league kind of had a template. They didn't have to look back very far on how to handle this, and there was some criticism on how long it took them to make a decision last year because they didn't really know what to do. But at least here they made a very fast decision on extending the season again and making up these games the week of October 31st to November 4th and going forward from there.
Without a doubt, you know, I was very critical of them last year during this time, waiting and allowing so much conjecture and so much talk to go around from region to region and give the regions their opportunity to do it themselves. And I just thought that was ridiculous. But to their credit, I'll be the first to say they jumped on this early. They did the right thing. They did it with force, so to speak, and just said, you know, this is what we're going to do. And it ended all that. Last year, we talked about it for 4 or 5 days in a row, and I was writing stuff, and you know, conferences were doing their own thing, and I was questioning. I was like, well, why do we have a high school league if they're not going to step in and handle this stuff? But I thought they did a great job this time. It's the perfect setting. Yes, it moves everything back a week. Yes, it interferes with north-south, but in the grand scheme of things, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. That should be of the least importance. The most important is making sure people are safe and not traveling to football games or football players playing 2 games in 5 days. Just some of that crazy stuff that was going on last year.
David, we appreciate it. We'll let you charge up your phone battery so it's nice and strong, and we'll catch up with you again tonight on the Scoreboard Show.
Okay, you guys take care.
All right, we appreciate it. David Shelton joining us as we break down the few games that we have tonight and recap the ones from last night. More of that coming up beginning at 10 o'clock on the Scoreboard Show. Let's go back up to Boston, where we are closing in on kickoff, Corn. I'm sure there is a loud, raucous crowd of Boston College fans just making it deafening in there. Let's see if we can even hear Corn. We're going to try to see if we can even hear him. Oh, boy, that is something. Wake up, Corn. Wake up.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
I thought you were snoring, or was that the crowd noise?
No, that was a crowd noise. I
thought you were snoring.
Tell you what, there's a lot of Clemson people here. A lot of Clemson people here as the Boston College team makes its way onto the field. Lots of Clemson fans are sitting up in the upper deck across the way from me on the left side and the right side. They're in the end zone. They're sitting down below. I mean, tickets were easily available for them for this game, and so they've gobbled them up in terms of the number of people who are here relative to the distance you have to travel to get here. So good crowd of Clemson people here. This is a game where you think Clemson is going to roll simply because of the trouble that BC's had in recent years. Despite their gaudy defensive numbers, you look at their schedule and you see, well, that's a bit on the inflated side because of who they've played. They did play Georgia Tech well in Ireland and kept that as a low-scoring game. Then they got hammered by Virginia Tech, totally embarrassed in that game. So we'll see which BC team comes out tonight. I got a hush for the national anthem.
All right, yes, definitely hush. We don't want any protest stories written about Cornblood as Clemson and BC now just minutes away. And that's one of the things now when you go on these road games and you played in that unbelievable atmosphere Saturday night, and it's a top 5 matchup, Pro, and you got to kind of bring your own juice in a game like this. It's easy to be lulled to sleep. We've seen these games be competitive, but the bottom line is Clemson can go out there and sputter around, and they might sputter around some. They can bring their C game, and Boston College can bring their A game, and Clemson will still win, probably by at least a touchdown or more.
Or more.
Right.
And I think the key point is, and I've always said in games like this, if you can really keep your intensity up from the get-go, get a lead so you can get some other players out there for some experience on the road. Remember now, Florida State lost arguably their best defensive back against Charleston Southern. See, these kind of games scare me because guys get off the concentration level. In my opinion, that's one of the reasons you can get hurt, because you're really not up on what you're doing and concentrating. And I'm saying that people always do that, but these games, Coin, kind of scare me because, hey, you should win it easily, and these are where guys seem to get hurt. I don't know why, but it seems that way.
Do we have Corn back? Boy, that's a long rendition of the national anthem. Okay, he's back.
This is I have to ask somebody. Boston College is one of the rare college football teams that comes out for the national anthem. Not sure if they do that home and away, but they were out before the anthem and standing on the sideline. The Clemson team has not yet come out, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, you're right. But you can't approach it that way, Pro. I mean, this is an ACC game, whether it's against a weak sister or not. You got to play it like this is Florida State, Louisville. I mean, Clemson is, they're thinking about what's ahead for them, and they can ill afford to come in here and be upset and lose their focus on the big picture. So it's not about preserving your players or anything like that. It's about going out here and playing your best and winning this football game.
All right, Corn, we'll leave it there, and we'll see that game starts here in about 5 minutes. Maybe we'll check in with you one more time before we sign off. Coming up, Mike Buddy, AD at Furman. March Madness is coming. They are underway in Boston. Clemson has the ball first. Kornblut is there. If you want to follow along on Twitter, at SportsTalk SC, I'm getting some tweets from people down in the lower part of the state that TV is out. So Twitter might be your best bet, and hunker down, stay safe wherever you are tonight. But they are underway, and we'll do our best to keep you up to speed between now and 8 o'clock. Let's go out to the guest line again. Mike Buddy, the athletic director at Furman, on the line now. Big news for Greenville as the NCAA tournament is coming to town. March Madness back in the Palmetto State. That is exciting stuff. North Carolina's loss is our gain. And Mike, thanks for joining us. First of all, hope you're doing well.
I am doing well. I appreciate you having me on, and you're exactly right. What an exciting day for the upstate and really all of South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it's a that went into landing this event.
Sure. Well, when about a year ago, when the Confederate flag was removed from State House, a group of us here in Greenville got together, and it was a SC and Bon Secours Wellness Arena, and then myself and Commissioner Imerino and his staff at the Southern Conference, and we just said, we've got one of the most friendly, welcoming cities on the East Coast. We've got a great basketball venue, and we no longer have the restrictions of not being able to host athletic events, NCAA-sponsored events. So we said, let's start getting our hat back in the ring. And so we started putting together a bid. The NCAA at the time happened to have issued an RFP for the years 2019 through 2022. And so we were going after those years. We wanted to throw ourselves back into the ring, if you will. And so we started putting together competitive bids, or what we thought would be competitive bids. We had some really good language from the 2002 year that Greenville had hosted that had a really good reviews by the NCAA staff as well as visiting teams. And so we had some good bullets in our gun, if you will. And we went up to the NCAA for a meeting in May. It was an open forum, really. And so while we were learning as much as we could about how to submit the best bid, one of the things that we strategically wanted to do was, behind the scenes, just in conversations over lunch with NCAA staffers, was plant that seed that, obviously having been on a ban of ourselves and seeing that the 82 bill was being introduced in North Carolina, that, hey, if push comes to shove and you need to find an alternate site, we're in the region, we're right below North Carolina, and we're ready to go if you need us. And so, that may have had something to do with it. It may have had nothing to do with it, but that was in the back of our minds as we were putting together the bid. And it's kind of ironic, as you mentioned, that, our success is at the hands of North Carolina after a 14-year absence of having events. It's kind of bittersweet that the loss is somewhere else, but obviously we're thrilled to have basketball back in town.
Now, Greenville got really a lot of accolades for the first time, and I think it was 2002 you hosted. I know that's a lot of years, a lot of water under the bridge, but does anybody on the committee of the NCAA remember that experience and how much they said they enjoyed having the venue in Greenville back then?
There are certainly members that are still involved in the tournament, and we certainly think that helped our chances. We had a lot of people go to bat for us. We had a lot of community leaders, from the mayor to the local restaurant owners. A lot of people stepped up. Our friends at Clemson University, who played their home schedule here this past year while they were having renovations, they were instrumental. They put in a really positive plug on behalf of Greenville and Bon Secours. So it was really a group effort, and we think obviously it paid off.
Now, you guys have a lot to do between now and March, and like you said, it's not like this just fell in your lap. You were planning, but I'm sure that there are a lot of things that have to happen between now and those dates.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for reminding me. My ulcer just kicked in again. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we high-fived for about 20 minutes this morning, and then said, okay, what's next? And our friends at the NCAA have already begun sending us documents, and one of us pointed out that these are documents that everybody else who's hosting, they got them 3 years ago. we got them today. So, we've got work to do. We're going to roll up our sleeves, and really what we're going to focus on is making sure that we deliver every single thing that we said we would deliver and more, because we still know that they're still sifting through the bids for 2019 and beyond. And so obviously we want to handle our business really focused the next several months as they're thinking about awarding those future bids. We want this long term. We don't want this to be a one-time deal.
So you are still bidding on the 2019 and 2022 bids?
That's correct.
Now, when you look at it, obviously Greenville is the epicenter of this particular event. But when we think of the upstate, we always think of not only Greenville, but Spartanburg and Anderson. Those cities, are they playing a part, or is that part of your presentation when you go to the NCAA?
Yeah, absolutely. We sell it as a community. I mean, we focus on, the immediate area around the arena with the hotels, restaurants, and shops for the fan experience. But also a big part of it is we've got 14,500 seats, and we need to sell every one of those tickets. And so, that's part of the co-sponsoring it with the Southern Conference, which is based in Spartanburg, gives us a whole nother networking ability, and Anderson and all those surrounding areas that we need their support. We need their volunteers. We're going to need people to step up and buy tickets. And, the tricky thing about college basketball, we want to sell all those tickets before anybody even knows what teams are coming here, which can be a tall order. But after a 14-year hiatus, we don't think that'll be a problem.
But tell me this, do you do any sort of, while the event is going on, sort of research? Do you ask maybe hotels or the Chamber of Commerce, hey, if we could get some fans who are coming here visiting to fill out just a quick check box survey, say, what did you enjoy about Greenville, whatever, so you can have that research the next time you put on an event and say this is what people seem to enjoy about this area.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, that's one of the, even in the surrounding areas. So, we've got the luxury of having one of the best minor league ballparks, a mile and a half up the street. So we'll come up with some opportunities for a fan fest and outdoor experiences for people who may not have tickets, but they may be in town, or their team's playing at night and they need something to do during the day. And we'll rely heavily on our hotel, restaurant, bar partners to do just that. Get as much feedback as you can, so that if we do succeed in getting one of those bids for future years, we can continue to deliver customer service and all those things that are important, because like I said, we don't want them just to come once. We want them to want to come back year after year after year.
Well, congratulations, and thank you. I mean, as everybody in the state, so happy to see this event back. And I know it wasn't just you; it was a lot of things that happened as you outlined, but very excited about it. And I'm sure that community and the entire state is going to support that.
Well, we're thrilled. I appreciate all that you guys do for the sports in the upstate as well. So appreciate you having me on.
We appreciate it. Mike Buddy, Furman Athletic Director, part of the group that helped get the NCAA tournament to the Palmetto State and to Greenville this year. Well, not this year, this season coming up. It'll be 2017, March 2017. We will have NCAA tournament basketball. I would imagine in 2019, 2022, you're going to see it in Columbia. It'll be back in Greenville. We're on the rotation. We're back in the game, baby. And North Carolina's going to get their act together, I would imagine, sooner rather than later. They'll get back in the game eventually. They won't go as long as we did, 14 years with the Confederate flag flap going on, but very nice to see that happening. Let's update some baseball real quick. 6-0 Cleveland over Boston. So Cleveland on the verge of going up 2-0 in that best-of-5 series. The Dodgers and Nats, they have a great one going in D.C. right now, 4-3. The Dodgers are on top, but boy, Clayton Kershaw, he had a 4-0 lead, and it's not looking real strong right now.
Blue Jays beat the Rangers today 5-3 to go up 2-0 in that AL series.
So everybody's blowing everybody out in the ALDS. We'll see how the National League series go, and the Cubs, they play later tonight. We'll be right back.
The latest on this weekend's race is around the corner. The full Monty on NASCAR is next. This is Sports Talk.
And welcome into the Full Monty with Monty Dutton joining us on the line tonight as we get ready for another weekend of racing, hopefully weather permitting in Charlotte. It's been a goofy week with Hurricane Matthew wreaking havoc on all sorts of sports schedules, and that's really the least of the worries when it comes to Hurricane Matthew. But that's our focus. And Monty, they didn't get anything done in Charlotte today, so it looks like Sprint Cup racing tomorrow night and Xfinity on Sunday. I don't know that I've ever seen those two flip-flop with the Xfinity race actually after the Sprint Cup race.
I have seen the same situation at other places. It's also true that last week at Dover, the prelim race was run on the morning of the Cup race. So that just happened last weekend. It was a 2-for-1 ticket up there because they got it rained out on Saturday. So anyway, I think the biggest, there's been very little practice at Charlotte. I think that, I don't know, that could work several ways. There could be more crashes because people aren't in, there could also be not very many crashes because everyone is very careful and doesn't really hang it out. They don't have confidence in their cars. The chase, the tension goes up exponentially because when you start out with 16 drivers, well, the 4 that are gone so far, you know, it wasn't too exclusive. The 12 remain aren't that exclusive. You just sort of had to keep your nose clean, so to speak. And now it goes down in the next 3 races to 8, and it gets to where you're in a situation where you have one 12th place finish and you feel pressure to win one of the next 2, or if you have a real bad finish, you have to win. So I think by its very nature and by design, the chase will become much more dramatic, and I think that the action on the racetrack will reflect the increasing urgency.
Well, we have to give you a Sports Talk pat on the back for accurately predicting before the chase began the first 4 out. You got that right. You nailed the whole pick on the head, the old nail on the head.
It wasn't that hard, number one. And what it was extraordinarily lucky because most of the time when I'm asked on Sports Talk, I take somewhere between 3 and 5 seconds.
That's good. Less thought, the better.
I guess that's one of those things where, you know, they always tell you to go when you're taking a standardized test, go with your first impressions because you don't agonize. So I think that, but I have never prided myself in my ability as a prognosticator because I've been trained to tell people what already happened.
Yeah.
I didn't major in prophecy, nor did I study Nostradamus or Gene Dixon or anyone else.
I had an old coach once. He asked me what happened on a play, and I told him the first thing in my mouth was I thought. And he said, that was your first mistake, thinking. Don't think. And I learned that lesson. But you're hot. You never can walk away from a heater. So who are the next guys out on the chase? We gotta keep this train rolling, Monty.
Oh, gosh, off the top of my head again. The next 4 out in the chase are, I'm going to name one person that no one expects to fall out. Kurt Busch has been a little weak, barely made it. Austin Dillon is going to be eliminated in the next round. And let me see. Matt Kenseth gets eliminated in the next round.
Wow.
So I take it back. Matt Kenseth stays. Carl Edwards goes out. That's 3. So now I've got to come up with somebody who's a Kyle Busch falls out.
Kyle Busch. Wow. Okay, that's big. It gets a little tougher.
Well, the fact is, matter is, there's no skill there.
Right.
And there's no ill will. It's just a matter that somebody big is going to fall out. So I just sort of that popped into my head. So that's what I'll go with.
What other storylines are you going to be following this weekend in Charlotte?
Well, I think that there probably is going to be a story of someone who has all sorts of problems, who ends up being in big chase trouble, either because he's in a wreck or something, or because he falls into what happened to Either he has an early mechanical problem or he has pit road mistakes. He speeds on pit road. He has something else go wrong. And, some kind of miscue, whether by pit crew or driver, whether by pit crew having a uncontrolled tire or a crew chief or a driver who speeds on pit road. This is all going to be much more costly, a little bit more costly this time, and the next segment a lot more costly. So I think that every person riding is probably going to have wasn't that wonderful, glorious story of, say, if Truex wins for the third time in the chase, and if everyone is going to have what possessed Kevin Harvick to do that? It's going to have one of these. You're going to have. I think the great tragedy of the chase is that Alex Bowman qualified great. Well, doesn't matter what you do. If you don't win the race and you're not in the chase, nobody pays any attention.
Right.
So I think it'd be nice. I always like it when someone in the period of chase. Another thing that's going to happen is maybe somebody wins the race who's already out of the chase or wasn't even in it. That's the only way they're all going to get any attention, because it's going to slowly boil down. And I guess that's probably the way it should be. But I don't think there's room for those who fall by the wayside, and they have sponsors and fans and everything else, and that's tough.
Yeah, maybe they could tweak it, and if you're out of the chase or you're within a certain number and you win a race, you can sneak back in. You get a wild card back in.
I think that nobody understands the damn thing now, so I don't believe in. I heard of people talking about the regular season champion having a bye into another round. I think it's a little bit convoluted as it is, and plus, I'm old-fashioned. I'd like to see them go with the same system for, I don't know, a few years, I'd like to be able to compare at least last year's winner to this year's winner.
Yeah.
I don't have to be able to compare him to Herb Thomas in the 1955, but I'd like for there to be a little bit more, I wish they'd come up with a format and stick with it, but
Right.
that will never, ever
No,
happen.
they love tweaking. Monty, we'll let you run. We appreciate it as always. Stay dry this weekend.
Actually, where I'm headed now, that's unlikely, but I hope so.
Stay safe. How about that?
Take care.
Thank you. Monty Dutton and the full Monty. All right. Yeah, we appreciate that. Monty Dutton joining us. I want to quickly, before we say goodbye, give our picks for the week. The Georgia at USC game. Corn took USC. Pro took USC. I took USC. Of course, Jared Rogers Martin took his Georgia Bulldogs. Matt took Georgia, and Kevin Cohen took USC. Clemson, Boston College. Everybody took Clemson with the exception of Jarmart. Do we have Corn? All right, let's check with Corn quickly. We'll post these picks on the website, SportsTalkSC.com. But if Corn is there, I do want to check in on him and get one quick update from the game.
Yeah. 7-3 Clemson, a 59-yard touchdown run by Wayne Gallman. Longest run of the season from scrimmage by the Tigers. Ray McLeod fumbled a punt, and that set up Boston College. The Clemson defense did not let BC in after they recovered that punt inside the 10-yard line. They couldn't move it. They had to settle for a field goal. Then the Tigers on their possession, Gallman took it to the house from 59 yards out, and Clemson just got to stop, and they've got the ball again.
Corn, we appreciate it. We'll look for your great stuff on Twitter at SportsTalk SC. Also, post-game reaction from Clemson, Coach Dabo Swinney and the players on the website, and the always coveted Sports Talk at the stadium, Corn's recap of the game. All of that will be available on the website throughout the night. So, Corn, we appreciate that. We'll have the high school scoreboard show coming up in about an hour or so, actually a couple of hours. And, Pro, have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday. Coming to the game Sunday?
I'll see you Sunday, and then I'm disappearing for the rest of the week.
All right, well, I'll see you Sunday. Jarmart, I'll see you in a couple hours for the scoreboard show. And we'll see all of you on Monday, same time, same place.